So while Gregory Boyle doesn't really touch much on the school system per se, he kind of touches it on it here and there. What the heart of the book is pretty much talking about how we need to change our perception of society, on how when we think of the word gang member, we think of demonizing certain people just because of the perceptions that we've seen and we have been fed by the media, or even maybe our own experiences. I feel that as he goes through the book, he's more so peeling back these layers of, of, of maybe fear that we have when we see a gangster down the street, a cholo, if you will. And what I feel that he did was that he was more so able to make them human. And I think that that can be applied to many other people. That could be applied to maybe racism, you know, when we think about African Americans, or we think of stereotypes, you know, with Asians or whites or Hispanic people. The whole book is pretty much talking about how society needs to start realizing that we're all pretty much related in a sense, and that we need to start helping each other out and seeing what other people are where other people are coming from. And the ways that he said that could be fixed is simply by just talking to people. I mean, here I see this Caucasian male, and he's reaching out to all of these gangsters, and in the book I'm reading, and I also looked at some videos, at how much they respect him, and how much they look to him as a father figure, they look to him as a mentor, and he's so much more different than they are. Some people would say, well, if you look like me, then we can talk, or then I have something of value to give you. But what Gregory Boyle does throughout his whole book, and just through his actions through Homeboy Industries, is that he teaches us that that has nothing to do with it. You just simply have to open up your mouth, and you have to get rid of the perceptions that you have of other people, especially these people that just happen to be involved in gangs. But as we see clearly in the book, as he starts telling story by story, and I know for those of you that have read it, some of the stories are so funny that you start laughing, and some of the other stories are just so tragic that you can't help but get emotional. Because when you go ahead and you peel away the layers that people have on top of them, we're all just broken on the inside, and we all go through things. Whether it's a gang member down the street, or whether it's a CEO of a company, we're all human, and there are things in our lives that hurt us. And once we start realizing that society can go ahead and start healing itself, and using people as tools to go ahead and do so, to help people down the street, to help your neighbor, to help your students, to help all of the people that are around us. And one of the ways that I see him take action is by giving these young men jobs. He talks about in his book how he pretty much asked them, so what do you want to do? One young man said he wanted to learn about cars, that he didn't know anything about cars. So what does Gregory Boyle do? He goes and he tries to talk to his mechanic, and he asks him to give this young man an apprenticeship. And lo and behold, he gets to do that, and this young man becomes a mechanic. You know? And it was from his mechanic was Asian. The reason why I state that is because sometimes we think that you can only help someone that looks like you, which is why we have so much division in our culture. Even though we are a melting pot here in Southern California, it seems as though, you know, we're a melting pot, but yet there are all of these silent divisions that we see. And what Gregory Boyle speaks to is the fact that we can go ahead and we can start breaking down that division by opening up our hearts and really just going against all of the perceptions that we have had as to a certain group of people.